Hello, everyone. Hope you all are doing great. Welcome to our session of today's webinar, Meet the Global Leader. So, the objective of this webinar is to share the professional journey of an individual person from the student life, what they have been doing, some professional lessons. So, our audience, they're actually currently studying at the university. So, it is going to help them with the insights, with the lessons, so they can understand what skills are necessary or needed to do good in professional sector, and some insights and like the person's interest and the thing that have been doing and creating impact in the community or in the world. So today we have invited Miss Jessica. She's a passionate leader dedicated to empowering individuals and organizations to create positive change. Her journey began in advertising strategy. While volunteering with an NGO, she discovered the incredible social impact achievable by applying these skills to micro entrepreneurship. So today we're going to know a lot of stories of her. So Jessica, welcome to our session.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mahfad, for this invitation. For me, it's an honor to be in touch with people from Bangladesh because I had a very fruitful experience when I was there. You'll know a little bit more in a few minutes. And thank you for inviting me to share my story from this perspective. No? I usually talk about what I do specifically, but not how I got to do all the things that I'm doing. So I hope this session will help others in this path of following a purpose-driven career.
Great.
Um, I don't know.
There
Yeah,
should
there we go. Perfect. Great. So as you were saying, I do all the things that you mentioned. A little bit about me. I help people to connect with themselves, their purpose, and from there to understand how they can generate a positive impact. I created a branding agency called MQM, where we help social enterprises communicate better what they are doing. And I founded Ecos too, where we built ecosystems. You'll know more about this in a few minutes. And I became a fan of social enterprises and fair trade long time ago, and I promote it very actively. I started studying advertising. I did an internship at the Uni Center a few months before NAFBA actually, so we couldn't cross each other at that time, but we are doing it now. And I lived in India for 2 years, which was one of the best experiences that I had in my life. I help others through mentoring, consulting, writing, and speaking, and I really like inspiring others in their own journey of social impact. So this is a little bit about me, so you can have more context. And so we can start understanding why I started doing this path of social impact. I I found this phrase a long time ago that happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. And for me, this coherence is very important to be at pace between what you're doing, what you're thinking, what you feel, and when I was studying advertising, I used to study at a private university in Buenos Aires. I used to learn about all these concepts of how to build a brand that makes a lot of money and positions in different markets, and are these strategies of how to create things that people want to buy and how to grow and all of this. And I love all the strategy tools, all the strategical tools that help me how to understand the market, how to gain consumer insights, how to understand the minds and the hearts of people so they can love brands. I used to love that, but I felt fragmented. At that time, I was also a volunteer at an NGO where we used to work with micro entrepreneurs, and we used to help them in improving their businesses. They had very little businesses like micro entrepreneurs, like you have in Bangladesh too, and we used to help them in improving their business model, in understanding how to get more customers, how to have better logistics for the enterprise, how to have credits so they can spend more on their business and grow. And little by little, I started to think how all these tools that I was learning from the advertising world, I could sort of translate them or use them in these different contexts with people that never learned or never knew about marketing and communication before. And that's where I started to create different workshops, tools, templates for people to create brands, having absolutely zero knowledge of how to create a brand or how to do a marketing strategy. And I started to see that these brands that we were starting to create with people at these slums or very informal contexts were having a great impact in people. One of the persons that really made a mark on my path was Lucia. That's the woman you can see with a green T-shirt. She was always changing the subject of her enterprise. She used to do I don't know, she used to do hairdressing. Then the other day she was selling food. At the other day she was selling blankets. She was constantly changing what she was doing. And this was also a barrier for her to growth. She couldn't focus on one thing specifically and sort of work so that business could grow. And when we started creating the brand with her, she realized that her purpose was to help women in her neighborhood to feel better with themselves. And she found that hairdressing was the best way to do so. And when we helped her create the brand for her hairdressing business, she could keep that same business for at least 3 years. That for her, that was a lot. And that was the moment where I had a click, where I said, okay, these tools that I'm learning at university and that people are using them in a business industry can have a great impact with small entrepreneurs from different contexts that have no access to this kind of materials. And I started to think, how can I develop this more and more? At the same time, I was also working at an advertising agency, a very well-known advertising agency here in Argentina that has multiple branches across the world. We had clients like Coca-Cola, we had Procter and Gamble, we have GSK, we have different brands and were very big brands. And I remember one day I was at the office and a group of 5 people spent literally 4 hours deciding whether the alignment of the shampoo, of a Pantene shampoo, should be at the left or at the right. And I want to ask you, if you think right now at the shampoo that you have in the toilet, whether the alignment is at the left or at the right, where do you think it is? Who thinks that the letters are all left aligned? Who thinks that they are all right aligned? Or who thinks that this is absolutely meaningless? Who doesn't care about whether the alignment should be at the left or at the right? This is something that really struck me because I started to think, if there's people that there are 5 people thinking for 4 hours whether the alignment should be at the left or at the right, though that gave me 20 hours of professional people with a lot of tools, learning, and experience deciding something that was completely useless. 20 hours spent in something that no one will care about, because when you go and buy a shampoo at the supermarket, you really don't care if the letters are left or right. But if you spend those 20 hours with micro entrepreneurs that have no tools or no knowledge about branding and marketing, the impact you can make there is huge. So that was one of the moments where I said, okay, there's something here that is really, really, really wrong. And there's something that could be really, really good if we focus on spending that time towards generating impact for other people. And these ideas that I started to create in a small neighborhood with a group of people, I said, I want to build something bigger with this. So I started to systematize these tools that I was making with more entrepreneurs. So I took one event that we were doing with this NGO, and we validated the idea that you could create a brand with multiple people and help people from very low income backgrounds connect with their purpose and connect with their aim to generate something bigger than themselves and create a brand. We did this, and there was an event of over 150 people, and we divided them into groups, and they created brands that were amazing. The amount of creativity that each of these hypothetical brands was really, really good. So for me, that was one of the first validations that this methodology that I was creating had a real impact and had a huge potential to help entrepreneurs. Then I started to think, okay, how can these initiatives that happen at one event can start to be replicated at different neighborhoods with different groups of people? So I started to test one time and another time in other groups of entrepreneurs, and helping these people from very different backgrounds with very different kind of enterprises create brands for their own businesses. And I saw that when we were investing this time with these entrepreneurs, we could have real outcomes. For example, this woman that you see here, after creating her brand and starting to improve her business, she came one day and she told us, "This is the first time that I can celebrate my daughter's birthday, and she's going to be 7 years old." So for me, impact is when you can help a woman celebrate her daughter's birthday because she can finally have income, and she can finally have money to purchase all the things that she wanted for a perfect birthday, and have a business that can help her have autonomy, have independence, have decision over her life and over her path. At that time, I came across the concept of social enterprise because I was working with micro entrepreneurs, and I came across Yunus. You might know him very, very well. And when I read this concept of social enterprise, I immediately knew that that was what I wanted to create. I didn't know how. In Argentina, there were no social enterprises at that time. This was like 12 years ago. And I couldn't find anyone who could explain me what a social enterprise was. I Googled at that time, and I only found one organization that says something about social enterprise in Argentina, but nothing else. There were no masters, there were no courses, there was very little material online, at least, where I could learn what a social enterprise was. So I said, if this man created this concept in Bangladesh, then I should go there and learn what a social enterprise is. I went to Bangladesh. I spent 1 month in Dhaka doing an internship at the Yunus Center, and I could get to understand how these social enterprises were built, joining big companies like Intel and Grameen, or like Bolia and Grameen, all these different alternatives that you had at the Yunus Center, for at least. And like the different parts of the puzzle started to make sense in my brain or in my mind. After spending this month in Bangladesh, I went to India, where I had previously lived for 1 year. And I came across the Fair Trade India network, where they were gathering all these different social enterprises that had the Fair Trade certification. So they were running their businesses with these 10 principles that ensured they were doing things right, sort of. And we made a deal with the president of Fair Trade India that became a very good friend and mentor for me, Malik. And he said, "We don't know much about social enterprises. We know a lot about fair trade." And I told him, I have learned a lot about social enterprises, not only in Bangladesh, but in the middle of this, I could also do a training at a university in Paris that was a leader in these topics. So I had a lot of theoretical knowledge about social enterprises, but I needed to understand how these different concepts applied in the field. So I told him, I know about social enterprises. I don't know about fair trade. I want to go to the field. I want to understand the problems, the business models, the impact firsthand. And they said, here is our network. Choose whatever you want. All the members that we have are these. Choose them. Think which of them you would like to know more. We open the doors of our house, of our organization. Go and do research on them, and we'll cover the cost of all your expenses. And we will ask you in return to give us assessment on communication, branding, marketing, all these aspects that I already knew. So we made this deal. I spent 1 full year in India, and I had this objective of trying this method that I created in Argentina with micro entrepreneurs from slums. I wanted to test it if it could work in a completely different context, if it could have the same impact with entrepreneurs that have different backgrounds, different kind of businesses, different kind of objectives. When I started to create this method, I also created a community. We had a community in Facebook that it had over 700 people, volunteers that came from the advertising field, designers, people that were just interested about what we were doing. And the idea was to create a community of people that wanted to help other entrepreneurs with their branding efforts and marketing. So what I used to do is I used to go to the field to have to create these workshops with people to gather their ideas, their purpose, what they had in mind, where they thought when they thought about their mind, and post on this group the different necessities that they had. So these volunteers would create logos, would create brochures, would create personal cards, whatever these entrepreneurs would want. And these communities started to grow. More and more people were joining. The collaboration was happening. But I realized that I was spending a lot of time on this community, but I was not charging anyone for anything. So this time that I spending, I didn't see a return. And at that moment, I had this agreement with Fairtrade India. They were covering all my costs and all of that, but I knew that I had to make an income somehow. I couldn't live voluntarily or doing different deals with people where we were collaborating. So this community that was growing started to have their own moment, and at the same time, I started to think, how can I monetize this? I tried different things. A lot of those didn't work, and I realized that failure is just a downward phase within the learning process. It's something very important that you need to go through to understand what actually works. So after doing these different workshops in villages, this was, for example, very close to where you are actually, because it was in a rural village in Kolkata. It was a tribe of artisans and producers that were kind of representing their art, their vision, their ancestral thoughts, and their point of view about life through their brand and through their communication, through the products they used to do. And these branding workshops help them understand the reason they were doing this, because for them it was something that was very connected to their soul, but they couldn't transmit it in a way that people from the outside of the village would relate to it. So the branding process was kind of a bridge from the village to the cities and from the artisans to the consumers. This activity that we did there was something that for me stuck in my, it's still very close to my heart, because it was something that I never thought I could actually do. I never thought it was possible, but I could do it and I could reach it and I could get to connect with these people because I trust my gut mostly. If I would plan this, if I would have planned this, I would have probably never reached this same place, this same village, these same people that allow me to understand why I was doing what I was doing. So for me, understanding that you have to follow what you feel is very important in all this process of creating an enterprise or a social enterprise. After this experience in the village, I came back to Argentina with the idea of creating a social enterprise from what I learned all these years in Bangladesh and India. And I created MQM. It's actually Marcas que Marcan in Spanish. And it means something like brands that make a difference or brands that actually leave a footprint in people. Our purpose is to mobilize the social potential of individuals and organizations. The social potential is the capacity that we all have to generate a positive impact, and we do this through branding and through communication. We do different kind of activities. The main of them is conscious branding, marketing, and communication. We believe in a way of building brands that are connected to the human essence, that are not focused on making people want something they will never be able to reach. That sometimes the traditional marketing is focused on that desire to create things that people would never achieve. We want to make brands. We want to make strategies that are actually positive, that are helping people connect with their best part of their best version. And we build brands with this method that we created it started with these initiatives that I'm telling you in different slums, and at this, and as time went by, we we improved them. We created different alternatives. We tested them with over 2,000 entrepreneurs at least, and we understood that to create the brand with these characteristics, you needed to have different elements that are very strategically defined and decided in order to generate the impact you want to create with your brand. We also do a lot of projects that want to change narratives. For example, we really like to mix disciplines. Also, we did projects that mix art with entrepreneurship, with impact. For example, this image that you can see here was the project that we did with UNHCR, the Agency for Refugees, the European Union, and the International Organization for Migration, where our aim was to portray stories about migrants and refugees that are generating positive impact in Argentina. That is the country that we are based on. We created different murals in different cities of the country. Each of the murals had a QR code that you can see there at the right, below the hand. And if you scan that code, you would go to the story of the person, and you would connect with the human side of the people. The idea was to change the narrative of racism, of discrimination that migrants and refugees suffer in the country because they are just outsiders. And these stories help us make people more aware of this problem, but also of the basic sensation and the basic concept that we are all humans and our blood is red wherever we are in the world. This project was made with these agencies, but we had also made projects with UN Women and with the International Development Bank. And this is not because we are a huge agency that is very well known and that is already positioned. Now we can say it is, but at the moment, it is because we dare to knock the doors of those that we thought it would be impossible to get attention from. So this is something that I would also like to transmit to you. Don't be afraid to knock doors of people or organizations that you feel that they will never pay attention to you. Because if you try to demonstrate that you are there, that you have all the characteristics that you need to show that you are worth for, then you will probably get the attention from these organizations. So this is something that over time we had developed the capacity of be resilient, of don't be afraid of no's. We had received a lot of no's before we got a lot of yes. And being able to be resilient with so many no, well, was what actually helped us to get these huge projects like the one that I'm showing you here in the screen. Another thing that we do through MQM is mentoring. We really enjoy helping people one-on-one in one-on-one sessions where they can either come with either branding issues that they want to be solved, or they feel lost and they want to generate impact, but they don't know how yet. We help them gain clarity about their purpose, their values, their experience, and how they can actually use all that value that they have to generate a positive impact on society or on also on the planet. We also do mentoring on authentic personal branding. We believe that we can all have a personal brand that has a positive impact in the world. So we help people connect with their authenticity, and from that place being able to generate a narrative that will help them position themselves and achieve the objectives they want to achieve. And we also do a lot of workshops and courses. This is because, as you can see, it's in our essence. We were born doing workshops. We were born teaching how to create brands that have a very positive impact and they can generate results. And it's mainly because we believe that good things are meant to be shared. So we do different workshops. We actually do workshops with people from around the globe. We do provide sessions for international organizations, for national too, online, offline, all kinds of formats. This agency is over 7 years old now. It started like almost 10 with this small initiatives that we were creating, but we developed it more professionally in 7 years back. And for us, it has been a huge learning process. We had done tons of things that didn't work. We still do things that don't work, and it's part of the path, of course. We have found things that do work, and we have been able to position ourselves in the region as leaders in creating brands that have a positive impact and that can have a equilibrium between the commercial and the impact aspects. And for us, this is an ongoing process of learning and understanding what people need, what brands need, and how we can uh, accompany this change that the world and society is having all around the globe in a positive way and in a very impactful way. And on the other side, I was creating all these branding things and community. And on the other side, I felt that I needed to reconnect with India because India had a huge impact in my life. I lived there in New Delhi for 2 years. I was able to visit a lot of cities in the country. And what I learned in India is that there are not only over like 2 million social enterprises, but there is a huge ecosystem. There are a lot of actors very well developed from the government. You have a lot of public policy to help social enterprises. You have a lot of impact investment funds. You have incubators, accelerators. You have a lot of different actors that are helping social enterprises thrive in a very coordinated way. And at that moment, well, not actually at that moment, but when I was in Bangladesh, Bangladesh operated as a bridge actually, I received a LinkedIn message from someone called Virginia. She was about to go to Bangladesh to the Unocenter too. She wanted to ask me about my experience. And one time we exchanged a few messages at that time, but we never spoke again. And then I came back to Argentina. When I came back to Argentina, I was at an event about regulation for social enterprises. And I was talking with someone, I was telling her about my experience in India. And this woman, Bir, came by and said, "Are you Jessica?" Because we spoke through LinkedIn when you were in Dhaka. And at that moment, we took talking for hours, and we realized that we had both seen this huge ecosystem thriving in India, and we wanted to do something to connect India and Latin America, or at least Asia in Latin America, because we understood that we have the same problems in Latin America and in South Asia. We had exactly the same problems: informality, lack of access to education, to housing, to basic needs. We had corrupt governments. We have a lot of similarities, and even culturally, we have big families. We shout a lot. If you see us in a meeting, we are all screaming and talking very loud. And we like to share. We love food. We have a lot of similarities, and we had this purpose, or we had this mission that we felt that we were sharing, of connecting, of building a bridge. That's why we decided to create ecos. And with ecos, our aim is to foster the development of impact ecosystems. um, we do this in different ways. We thought that this was the way forward because what we saw in India is that social enterprises were not meant to be born and grow alone, but they needed others to do so. So we started creating different products, different services, different ways of generating an impact ecosystem. Where when we started 7 years back, no one used to talk about this concept of impact ecosystem or social enterprises. So we had this purpose of preaching about social enterprises, impact models for businesses, impact ecosystems. We had to position the concept because people didn't know what we were talking about. So we did thousands of free hours of teaching for universities, for companies, for NGOs, for different actors or different people, so they could understand the same language that we were talking. And when people actually started to like understand that we needed an ecosystem, that we were all part of it, that there were different type of actors, we started creating workshops to foster collaboration among different people. We gather investors, entrepreneurs, incubators, accelerators, governments, people that were working to generate more impact business models, and they were starting to talk with each other, some of them for the first time, in a way that was focused towards generating something bigger than ourselves. So we created different workshops for actors of the ecosystem. Little by little, people started to ask us to help them collaborate better within their organizations. So we started to provide consultancy on how to dynamize networks, how to create a culture, how to create more strategic partnerships, more collaboration among different actors, among actors within the same company in different kind of formats. We started to share this knowledge that we gained when we were living and understanding the impact ecosystem in India. We have done over 7 workshops for actors of the ecosystem here in Argentina, and this has helped enormously for us to get to know each other and get to understand what was the role of each other. We had also made a workshop when we were in India in 2020. We do impact immersion trips. The first of these trips was, of course, to India. We created a group of people from Argentina that traveled to India with us in 2017 to understand how this impact ecosystem worked, to have experiences in different social enterprises, to understand what was the role of each of these actors of the ecosystems. We did 3 trips in total, and one of them had this workshop where the aim was to start generating this bridge between India and Latin America. We had a lot of people together understanding our problems, our shared problems, to thinking about potential solutions, to understanding how can each one of them uh, share value when this collaboration happens. We also do impact immersion trips here in Argentina. Even though our ecosystem is much less developed, we have a lot to share too. And we have different business models and different initiatives from these actors of the ecosystems that are helping social entrepreneurs do businesses here in our country. And we had done tons of things over time, but something that Mahbab was asking me when he invited me for this was, can you share something for the students to actually get to ask themselves questions or learn how to create impact in their path too? So I had this question for you, like, okay, so where could we start? For me, the first step for creating a purpose-driven path is to, of course, ask questions. But for us, the best way to do it is to discover and to put your social potential into action. This social potential is this unique capacity to generate positive impact in people and planet. We can all discover and awaken it. We all have it. There are no people that these people can generate impact, this cannot. We can all have this social potential. The key is to be able to discover and awaken it. We can create an action plan to put it into action, and we can and we should share it with others and inspire others, because people that are making change are the ones that are inspiring others to make change. Because when you see someone that you can relate to, that is just like me, it's not someone that it's like a Bollywood actor, that is someone that is unreachable. It's something like, it's someone like me. You can inspire others to do the same. So this social potential for us is composed of these 3 steps. These are the 3 steps of our method. It has the compass, the map, and the footprint. The compass is related to your purpose, to your path, to your knowledge, to your desires, to all of the aspects that make you a unique person. The map is all the outside world, all the decisions that you can make to build a career that will make sense for you, all the steps that you have to make towards learning different things, towards understanding what is your role within the impact ecosystem. Do you want to be an entrepreneur? Do you want to work in the government in some way? Do you want to work with an NGO? Do you want to be a consultant? Do you want to be a leader? Do you want to be a follower? All this decisions that you have to make in order to create a path that will make sense to you. And the footprint is asking ourselves, what is the impact that I want to generate? Is asking ourselves, who do I want to serve? Is asking ourselves, what is it that motivates me and inspires me? Or what is it that really gets me angry and furious and frustrates me? Because those things that are that have an attachment, an emotional attachment to it, are the ones that will give us the clue about where I can generate an impact. There's people that will feel motivated or mobilized by people sleeping in the streets. There's people that will feel really mobilized by the garbage that we see around on all the contamination. There's people that will feel more sensitive about the animals. There are different causes that we can all feel related to. It's very personal. So if there's something from the outside that really strikes you internally, then pay attention there because you have a clue. You have the first step of a problem that will maybe become your purpose, or maybe become the problem that will help you walk towards your vision. So pay attention to that. And there are a lot of questions that we can make and we can ask ourselves to understand, where should I walk to. This is funny because a lot of people don't usually ask these questions. They try to avoid them because some of them are difficult. Some of them will take us to a crisis, and crises are not something bad. Crises are part of the path, and we will have multiple crises. You'll have it, especially when you are like 20, 30, 40 years old. There will be a crisis almost for sure. But crises are good because they will help us reflect upon our path, about what we are doing, about what do we want, and they will help us understand better what we should do to find sense and to find peace at our heart when we are working, or when we are deciding what to do with our lives. So these are some of the questions that had helped me to understand what I wanted to do with my time. What reality do I build with my everyday work? Every day we spend hours doing things, either procrastinating or studying or working. All the time that we are spending, build a reality. What is the reality we are building with our time and with my everyday work? If money were not an obstacle, what would I dedicate myself to? The first answer that most of people have for this question is travel. But okay, after traveling, what would you do if you have infinite money? What is it that really you would do for free for the rest of your life because you really enjoy doing? In those activities is where you will find joy, and is where you will find the key of what you have to develop. What legacy would I like to leave in the world? We live our lives thinking that we won't die, and we will all die. That's the only certain thing that we have when we are born. So if you are going to die tomorrow, in the next 2 days, what would you do? What would you like people to say about you? What would be the legacy that you want to leave? We came here to leave the world a little bit better than we found it. So what is the legacy that you can create within your square meter? In what ways did I contribute, right? If you think yourself being old, in what ways would you like to think about your contribution to the world? What activities make you feel like time stands still? There are some things that we can all do, and time can go by and we never realize. And you check your watch and you say, oh my God, it's been 3 hours and I have been writing, for example. For me, I love writing. I can spend hours writing. I used to spend hours writing before being a mom. Now I can't spend 3 hours writing because I have a toddler, but it's something that really connects me with myself. And it's something that I know that when I do it, I can help others, because what I write can help someone think about something differently, change their narratives, the way they think about things, inspire. So think about those activities that help you disconnect from reality and connect with yourself. What causes, topics interest you or motivates you or concerns you and anger you is what I was telling you before. And what realities do I want to build with time I invest? I think if you really get to answer these questions consciously, and you give them time to reflect, to explore, to understand if there's something really tiny that you have realized that motivates you and that helps you connect with this other aspect of you, then give time for that to develop, then explore it. If you have, for example, a few weeks back we were talking with someone that was doing a mentoring with us on this social potential, and she was saying, I always felt related, or I always wanted to help women that were going through violence, to gender-based violence, but I never knew how to approach them. I know someone that is doing about this, but I don't know what to do. If you don't know what to do, just connect with those who are already settled in that field. Start to understand the problem, start to observe, start to understand and observe yourself. How do you feel when you are immersed in that context, when you can relate to that problem, when you can talk with someone that has this problem that you are feeling connected to? There are no magical formulas for doing something with impact. You have to go immerse yourself, like I did from Argentina to Bangladesh. I think it's over like 15,000 kilometers. You have to there to get yourself immersed in different realities to understand what is the kind of impact that you can generate in the world. And following your purpose is not easy, but I promise you it's completely worth it. And we can all make a difference, no matter how small we think we are. No one started big. Well, very few people actually do start big, but mostly everyone that is now doing something huge started doing very small steps and trying to follow what they were thinking or they were feeling they had to do. Another thing that I think it's important is to understand that you are enough. You have to trust yourself. We always think that we don't know enough, that we don't have enough experience, that we are not enough. And this is not true. This is completely false. We are enough and we all have a purpose. The clue is to follow what you feel and to help to create the conditions for that purpose to unveil and for that purpose to become your compass. Ask yourself, ask questions, ask for help. There's no burden that we can tolerate alone. It's always better when you can understand when you are at the border of a very hard crisis or a strong or a difficult moment, and it's very good to ask for help because other people, first of all, they will be willing to help and they will ease our burden. So ask for help and don't let yourself drown, because if we are not feeling good, then we cannot make something good. So the first thing we have to start is with self-love and understanding our boundaries and asking for help when we need it. The journey is completely more enjoyable with others. So try to create your tribe, try to connect with other tribes, with people that have your vision, that believe what you believe. And if you don't find that people, then create your tribe. I live in a small city called Tandil, where I was raised. I used to live in Buenos Aires before, that was the capital city of Argentina. And when I came back to Tandil, this is a small town, it has 150,000 inhabitants. I couldn't find people that spoke my same language that I felt related to. I had my friends from college, but I didn't feel um, connected with these other aspects of me that are very important. That is the impact, is doing things for society, for the planet, is thinking of something bigger than myself. And I couldn't find those people here. So I decided to create an impact board, a group of people that are interested in generating things with impact. I posted it in LinkedIn. I found one person before that, two persons before that were aligned to what I was also promoting. And together we created a group that has now over like 20 people. And we are all talking about these things that really inspire us. So if you don't find your tribe, then create it. If you find two people, then you have your tribe. If you have one people, then you have your potential tribe. So try to create it and don't do this alone. It's always better when you do it with others. Dare to face your fears. The resilience diminishes fears over time. I have been told no for uncountable times, But if you're resilient, if you're perseverant, if you don't stick, or if you don't stick there in the plain mode of I won't act because this person or this organization told me no, then you won't move forward. So if you are resilient, if you're perseverant, then you will be able to overcome your fears, to overcome your challenges, overcome your problems, and find new perspectives on what you're doing, find new opportunities, new ways of doing things. I'm not a very I don't believe much in if there's something that is not working, just keep trying. If that is not working, then move to another thing, then change the way you're thinking about that, change the way you're doing, then change it. If something is telling you it's not that's not the way, then try another way. There are multiple paths we can follow, so don't be afraid to change and to do things that scare you and to do things that are really or you think that are out of your league. Just keep trying. um as I was telling you before, this perception of what we know is usually less than our actual knowledge. So don't be afraid of do things that you feel or you think that you don't know how to do it, because the best way to learn how to do things is doing it. I have sold a lot of services that I thought I didn't know how to do it, or I didn't know how to provide a very good service about what I was going to do, and the outcome was actually amazing and it overcame my expectations and my client expectations. So don't be afraid of do things with the actual knowledge that you have. You will always have time to learn more, to understand better ways to do what you're doing, to professionalize yourself better. So these are some of the things that have helped me across my path. I hope it helps you too. I if I think myself at university, I have a lot of like good memories on the path that I was walking at that moment. But if I think myself now with the eyes of a 20-year-old woman thinking about her future, I would have never imagined to be where I am today. So try not to be afraid of following what you feel, and try to connect with that part of you that tells you there's something more than what you think that there is, or what society tells you there is. There's always something more you can do. Um, I hope this has helped you. Please feel free to reach out. I have here, these are my contacts on link on Instagram. Unfortunately, I only post things in Spanish now, but we can connect there. On LinkedIn, I do English and Spanish too. And if there's anything you think I can help you with, or if you'd like to tell me about yourselves, what you're doing, an advice, or even to get to know what you learn or what you're taking from this conversation, I will be very happy to get to know you better. So thank you so much, Magda, for this invitation.
Thank you. So wow, you wrote it in Bangla. Dhanyabad.
You
So
didn't expect that.
yeah, I didn't. And this is like way of how you perceive things. Once like you mentioned that you did an internship. So when I used to meet with my friends from France, Brazil, different countries. So like I used to learn hello, how are you in their language. And when I did that, the reaction and the connection it immediately created on the spot. So it was like amazing. So like the way you just one word, but you wrote it in Bangla, and like it's so cool, and it's a wonderful thing. So the it's amazing hearing your story, and few things are very clear. I mean, if you are clear about your purpose, if you know how to do it, like even it's the you think you mentioned several things that you didn't find the circle, you created one, and this is the thing. If you don't, if there is no way, you create the road, and then you go forward. So this is when you're clear to your purpose, about your mission, about your vision. And it's also the you know like your country is not the boundary. The whole world is your country. So you can explore the world. You have to think beyond your border. So there are opportunities everywhere. So this is about the thing, like the seeking knowledge, pursue their career, chase their dream. It's very important, and like-minded people around you will always help you go, faster forward. So this is important. And listening to your journey is echoing the same thing. And you mentioned several times is, you've been to India, you've been to several places, you found opportunities, you found people, and you you like contributing from your experiences. So it's amazing, and this is the thing that we have tried to share. We try to share with our audience that the journey, how you have come this far, how did you start, stuff like that, so that they can understand, and the skill sets that you have shared, and some advice and lessons that you have shared are going to definitely help our students who have listened or who are going to listen. And if anyone has any question or wants to reach out to you, definitely they can reach out to you via LinkedIn. And on behalf of School of Entrepreneurship Development, Jessica, I would like to share our sincere gratitude and thank you, and very best of luck for your future endeavors. And if you visit Bangladesh next time, we will definitely invite you in our office.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and it's really nice to connect to Bangladesh. And I also know that you also love Argentina because of Messi, so we have another
Yes,
connection there.
definitely. Yeah,
And yes,
definitely.
yes, something that really that was really really funny for me is when I went to Dhaka. Is that if you go to the Uni Center, it has this building. It's very like high. I think it was like the floor number 20 or something like that. And it was I used to see hundreds of Argentinian flags because it was close to the World Cup. And I was like, what's going on here? I felt at home so many kilometers away. So yeah,
Yeah,
the world is
last year, the fans of Argentina football team or featured in Argentina, they showed how we celebrated in the medias. So yeah, the connection. So
yes,
it's
yes,
amazing.
yes. Yes, yes. Please feel free to reach out. Thank you so much for the invitation. And of course, if we go to Bangladesh, it's something that we have pending. Maybe one of our trips to India will also have a Bangladesh stop. I will feel really, really happy to connect with all of you personally. So who knows? Maybe in the future.
Yeah.
And if anyone is any concerned or want to ask a question, please feel free to reach out. I always like to talk with people from other countries. It's something that I really enjoy. Thank you so much, and
Thank
let's stay in
you and
touch.
have a good day. Yeah.
You too. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.